It really cannot be understated how much I loathe David Pakman.
Donald Trump has just hit a new milestone, and it is really not a good one for him. It's maybe good for people who believe in better governance, but it's not good for Trump. A new poll shows that 40% approve of Trump's job performance and 58% disapprove. That is minus 18 for Donald Trump.
18 is a pretty funny number today, actually. The Quinnipiac University National Poll indicates that 18% of voters approve of the way the Democrats and Congress are handling their job, while 73% disapprove, marking a record low job approval rating for them. You even talk about milestones. Low 40% approval rating for a president. Well, that's not unheard of. But Democratic congressional leadership at 18% is a historic low, the lowest it's ever been since they started tracking these numbers, Quinnipiac, that is.
Among independents, only 27% approve, 63 disapprove. This has real consequences. When a president is this deeply unpopular, things break down very quickly. Number one, Congress turns into a battlefield. Members of the president's own party worry about their seats, especially with the midterms coming up. They distance, they block legislation, they hedge every vote. We're starting to see that. We're not going to let Trump take Greenland. We think Trump's going too far here. He's going too far there. Number two, it gets really hard to govern when you are this unpopular because forget about big reform. You just can't do it. Budgets get very chaotic.
How are you going to say budgets get chaotic like it wasn't the Democrats who just, 4 months ago, shut down the government because they wanted to fund illegal immigrants in America?
Foreign policy credibility drops. Allies and adversaries see weakness and instability.
Yeah, I just don't think that's going to be much of an issue after the rest of the world watched us, snatch up Maduro like dad just walked in and caught his kid doing something naughty.
And then number three, midterms are sort of always a referendum on the party that took power 2 years before, but it gets extra dicey if the president is this unpopular. And we've seen this before. Obama was in the low 40s before the 2010 midterms, and Democrats lost the House and lost it pretty badly. Biden was in the low 40s before 2022's midterms, and Democrats lost the House and barely held the Senate. Bush's approval, George W. Bush's approval, collapsed after Iraq and after Katrina, and Republicans got crushed in 2006. Low approval doesn't guarantee a wipeout, but it is definitely a big warning, and Trump is in the danger zone.
Now, although everything he's saying is accurate and that it is most likely Democrats will retake the House by a few seats in the next election, I mean, that's only to be expected. So I don't understand his excitement, Something that you could have predicted because it historically is what happens isn't really something to get excited about. It's just par for course. I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm not saying there's going to be a red wave or we're going to keep the House. We are almost certainly going to keep the Senate. But I love how he has completely omitted the fact that Democratic congressional approval amongst the general populace is at the lowest it's ever been, because that is not an insignificant issue for him. But he's not going to ever mention that because he, just like he did and the rest of left-wing punditry and the influencer sphere, let's say, predicted that Kamala was going to win in 2024 and ignored every sign, every indicator that this was not the case. He will repeat this again. He will only paint the best possible picture because, recognizing reality is just too painful for these people. These are the same folks, not necessarily Pakman himself. I'm not entirely sure where he stood on Iowa, but there were people within left-wing media from the lowest to the highest levels legitimately considering Iowa may go for Kamala. Which brings me to the other point. And that is that historically polling has been underperforming for Trump, let's say, or Trump has consistently overperformed in comparison to his reported approval ratings in polling. And then, there's funny things like this that I'm sure you've probably already seen, but how do the numbers match up with this?
What are we talking about here? So take a look here. Favor voter ID to vote. Look, I got all this polling on the screen going back since 2018. You'll notice on all of it, it's all north of 75%, 76%, 76%, 76%, 81%, and then 83% in the last year of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj. They favor photo ID to be able to vote. But even 71% of Democrats favor photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of Black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race.
So while Donald Trump's approval ratings are at a point where historically it results in the flipping of House or Senate, the fact of the matter is that it's Democratic congressional leadership that is currently preventing the SAVE Act, which is something that the vast majority of Americans want. And not just a vast majority of Republicans or white people, but a plurality, even across party lines. This is a bipartisan approval issue that the Democrats are actively fighting tooth and nail to prevent from happening, just as they have for the last 4 years, 5 years, done everything in their power to protect illegal immigrants over American citizens.